Greetings, everyone. This is Joanna from Universal Love Light and Heavenly Radiance, and Joanna's Ascension and Multidimensional Healing Systems. You see all the beautiful nature that's out and about. We're constantly surrounded by birds. It's a blue jay right there, and they make incredible sounds. And we've got lots of goldfinches in nature about, so they'll be joining us for this special offering. We wanted to come forward just from activations and um, inspirations that I've been moving through. And we've already called in the teams, as you already know, as is our sacred communion, our sacred sharing, and offer new activations, new potentiation of who we are becoming as this beautiful soul version of who we are, allowing ourselves to live fully as the soul, live from this softened, centered, soulful place. And as we do so, the more softening that we do, the more that we open up within and allow all that we are as source to flow. And it's a very allowing, surrendering movement of fluidity, knowing that our paths will be an ever shifting of traversing energies and traversing templates and timelines, and just understanding it, knowing it, not to have to succumb to the ego mind to sort everything out and to plan everything out or to organize it so that you're taking yourself out of the synchronistic surrender that is source. My teams have recently said and have asked me for quite some time to step out of my box in every way so that I can become more familiar and more comfortable with who I am as a fluidic movement of source, therefore allowing all of the gifts and all of the activations to come forward. Because our realities, in doing so, we then co-create these new templates of light and these new templates of co-creation, which will allow us to perceive a new reality in which we've never experienced before. And it won't seem and be as if the patterns and the way we have behaved and lived and the habituations that we've created within will not be that of this new template. They're meant to be outside the box. We're meant to step forward and create new ways, in the understanding that our consciousness is the all. Our consciousness evolves our reality. So in allowing ourselves to activate anew, to step into a new creative expression, exploration, experience of who we are, we then get to further press out all that we exist within, what exists within us, and who we truly are as a species that's becoming more and more omnipresent. And so it's really, really exciting, and why I wrote in our recent article that's now a video with Mario putting it on his Lightwork Network. Thank you. It's also on our YouTube channel as well. We share with our Universal Unity playlist. The fluidic fields that we create miracles and majesty within. And it's becoming that vibration first, which means that we must step out of the patterns and the cycles and the cyclical patterning that the ego has created through attachments, through limiting beliefs, through safety of the separation experience. And stepping out of those human patternings, those human conditions, which were very limited in vibration, and really allowing us to step forward in these beautiful new ways that are threading all timelines. My teams gave me about a year and a half ago a beautiful symbol, and I'll post it on our Facebook page, the Time Ran a Wave, that has been written about in Maya Naratumid's articles, The Time Ran a Wave. And if you look up her beautiful Ascension writings, we often refer to her. She's been an incredible colleague of mine and a resource, incredible intuitive and channel for Toth Hara, in many of the sacred Metatronic light programs that we're shifting from. And she's been doing this from the 60s. She's come an amazing master in human form, and she writes about the time ran away and how from many of our dismantled timelines that were influenced in a negative manner, we're now here co-creating in correction and healing. And one of my roles within the soul group that I'm within is to heal and correct those timelines through the expression, the co-creation of self-love and self-acceptance, and through that love and compassion of all experiences in life, so that we really let go of the ego's mandate in what it thought it had to co-create, because those will always leave us in limiting de-evolved stations of experience, because the ego is not spirit. The ego is a part of this human experience, but to be under the direction and the co-creatorhood of spirit as the soul, as the driver of the vessel, if you will, and the reality experience, because the soul is our omnipresence, is our highest source self. It's our Christic experience of who we are at the highest level and vibratory field. The Christic experience it's a vibration of multidimensional codes and light that work within the water body of who we are as beings. And we understand how important the water is upon our planet because it affects the grids. And these water bodies are all the entanglement of the beautiful Christic energy. And we're seeing so much evolve and shift. We're just having the oceans tune in on how there's the beautiful shifting and harmonization and new upheaval of the oceans and the water bodies upon our planet because of the crystalline grids, the renewal process, the regeneration process to bring new life and new light to the surface, which is what humanity is going through at a collective level. What can we bring from the surface that no longer serves? And through our chakra systems, when we get those activations to release densities, to release imprints within the mental template, the emotional template, the etheric, and the physical template, that those activations come forth to allow us to then begin to renew and regenerate in a higher consciousness frequency. And that is the evolutionary process that is the source essence, this field and fluidic essence of benevolence that we are all connected with through our heart. We are now linked as a collective being through our hearts. And that is all that we are living, breathing, and behaving and experiencing, continually pressing out of our consciousness, our awareness, how we allow ourselves to activate all that we are as a multidimensional being within and without the micro-macro experience that we are the masters of. And so what we wanted to bring forward today, as we mentioned in our last video, is a beautiful sacred experience to call in your celestial teams, your celestial guides. Many of the activations that I've been moving through, my teams were showing me, is that we will be creating very sacred celestial family groups and councils to assist us in this ever pressing out to create beautiful new co-creative systems with Source, the divine mind, that is the direct relayer of light codes and programs through all of creation. With the Holy Mother, the Holy Father, at the highest version of who we are and how we were birthed in our very first incarnation. Then bringing these soul excitements forward, and the soul being all that we are as a multidimensional presence, have lived, living now in this now concurrent moment, the higher vibrational experiences of all that we are. And that is the soul living through us, as well as the leadership of our angelic guides and our celestial teams and our healing teams. So we are so supported and guided through the archangels, Lord Michael, the Ascended Masters, the Rainbow Masters of Light, the Outer Earth Shamans, the ancestral guides and teams that we each come with depending on what our soul is here to experience, explore, and express. And so part of my excitement is to come forward and truly step within the divine feminine frequency and begin rewriting and healing some of the timelines that have been warped and misrepresented through the divine feminine energies and the misrepresentation and misunderstandings. We were only creating from what we thought we knew, and then the ego kind of got involved, and that's when control, limitation, and fear take over, and therefore de-evolving the human species right from within the DNA and the cells, which is why we always create those self-care daily experiences, and you have complete mastery of every cell as it replicates to replicate it anew in its highest version of who you are as a light being. Therefore, lengthening the telomeres. The telomeres are that section of that DNA experience that protect the DNA from degenerating. And so as we lengthen that telomere, it actually allows that DNA to maintain and sustain its health and wellness. As opposed to what we offered earlier, is that not only the environment, but how we move about life, all through the consciousness, of course, because consciousness is everything. The more that we allow our consciousness to evolve and expand and press out, the greater our health and wellness of all that we are as multidimensional spirit matter beings. And it affects everything: the DNA, the cells, organs, the heart, everything. We have access, and I've felt the activations going on within my brain, the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere, activations in the pineal, and all that we move, how we move about life. For instance, the calcium buildup in much of the fluoride and the additives that we co-create And that pineal is really important to receive that higher vibrational information and wisdoms. This is why daily self-care is so important, to ensure that your whole um, pillar of light system, the vortices of your chakras that move in and around that pillar of light, all that you are is a multidimensional light body coming into greater awareness of receiving and sending information multidimensionally through codes and through vibrational stories, as your DNA is also upgraded. That you become aware that you are the master of your cells, your body, your organs, all that you are, so that you can be that sovereign Christic being that can span out evolutionarily in whatever way that your soul is excited to co-create with Source, as Source. Um, and so um, my teams were showing me that we're going to be moving through shifts within this fifth dimensional experience, through which we will be, as we said earlier, because we've upgraded all that we are as a multidimensional being, sending and receiving information in new ways, in which that, and I've known this for years because I've experienced it, how we receive, I guess interpret is the better word, how we interpret information as we receive it or see it or hear it will be expanding. And so if you're walking along a trail and you look down at a flower and that flower begins to send a multidimensional story to you, and you just seemingly know what that is, and then you connect it to something that you're working on, if you're working on a painting, and then you include that vibrational code and story within the painting, if you will, because it's required by somebody within the collective, or just merely for your own experience and collection of who you are, your expression of who you are, your experience of who you are, so that those codes and those energies go into the evolutionary process, not necessarily as a make work experience. And we'll explain this in a little bit. Because it's meant to be your exploration, expression, and experience of you being joyful in you. And it's really, really important not to do anything because that's a mission or a make work issue, but to simply enjoy who you are in expression, exploration, and experience. That allows you to stay within that center, within that presence, and not have it be any more than that. That way you're always aligning with the highest alignment, co-creative experience, and not having it be anything to do with ego. The ego assists us in manifesting the paintbrushes and the paint colors, but to co-create in that expression of now, trusting that you're going to get and receive what you need with the teams that are with you, and surrendering every moment as that expression of Source, and not have it be connected with the ego as far as goaling or orienting or anything that ego likes to manifest and control, because then that's still aligning with those frequencies of 3D. And so we want to really understand that right now, as we're stepping into these soul experiences, to co-create as the soul, which means that the joy and the excitement and that childlike expression of being you and just loving who you are and expressing who you are in that joy. Therefore, that love experience, that consciousness of love, the consciousness of Source Creator is going into all that you experience. Therefore, not only enhancing, enlightening, and they're giving me a word. It has to do with cooking. I baked this morning and I rarely bake. They're giving me a word that has to do with baking. It's kind of like sprinkling spices on something. You're adding the spice of love to whatever it is you're co-creating, and therefore it allows you to feel that self-love, that self-acceptance, self-belonging, self-joy of being that sacred child, because this is one of the many imbalances of earth that we're here to create and heal and correct. And I say that because it's one of my soul's journeys, sacred transmutation, is because I've come as a crystal and I've come as an empath, and remembering my Pleiadian experiences as a light worker. Part of my experience was overgiving and over, being that crystal empath and that healer, to feel as if it was my responsibility to be the resolution for everyone, everything that they were moving through. And those were, the result of dysfunctional families and trying to fix it and be that pillar of light within that experience. And, not until years and years of dysfunctional relationships and work experiences, everything, because those are core wounds within the whole self, the soul, that we're here to transcend, to knowing that you were birthed in the joy of just being you, regardless of the environmental experience, familial, societal, religious, socioeconomic, whatever the external experiences have been, to not allow it to, from here on out, compromise your light and your knowing of how sacred and perfect and beautiful you are as source, just for being you. It doesn't have to come with um, a work program, if you will. And that's really important to get and wrap your wholeness around. Because, as again I said, coming from these many dysfunctional experiences, those were wounds that were in the soul that you continue to call in and co-create imbalances with, because it's not healed at the soul level. And that has what's been called, and we want to redefine it because it's not really what it is, the shadow self or the inner child. And the archetype of the devil energy, if you will. These words don't give it the representation of its multidimensionality of what it truly is. And it's that psyche wounding of a myriad of lifetimes and a myriad of planets, through which you felt as if your coming forward in co-creation had to mean something besides the exploration, experience, and expression of you as a beautiful, creative, undeniable, limitless, sacred, sovereign, Christic being. And as we live from this space of wholeness, as we live from the space of deep reverence, as we live from the space of sacred communion, of who we are, the communion within thyself, the vessel of source, this multidimensional, infinite experience of consciousness. And if you pull that apart, sentence by sentence, there will be much vibrational potentiation within that, because this is the shift of uplifting every dynamic within our socioeconomic collective, whether it be the aged, the native and aboriginal communities, the divine feminine mothers and children, to allow it not to be any more than the sacred gift that it was to be you in your uniqueness, in your diversity, in your authentic signature vibration. And that is the blessing of all life, because source knows the word that's coming to me is epitome. The epitome of evolution is the sacred joy of every blessing that is being birthed, and every birthing that is the blessing. And so it's a sacred experience, and why we're going to offer a shamanic story and an aboriginal story and a native story of the ancestors. And what I wanted to begin creating is to bring those reverence stories back, those communions back to the sacredness, which is what they embodied. They embodied the sacredness of all life and the birthing of all life, and they understood that sacred experience and expression, and why those stories have been lost through time due to the egoic, separative, vibrational stories that we've been co-creating. So it's really important that we re-enter into a sacred experience of us, being us, the soul that we are, the sacredness of that we are, and not to attach it to any ego outcome that is monetary. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because that will automatically come as you're just expressing your joy of who you are. So the abundance factor will always be within your excitement. It will always be. So it's not anything you have to goal, and it's not something you have to force into the experience of your expression. It will just occur. Source will ensure of that. That's the perfection and the blessing, the epitome that they were reminding me of that expression of blessing that is life. Your expression of who you are, your exploration of who you are, just have fun and love who you are. That will bring forward to you all that you require, and when and where and how. So it's a complete, and this is why they've been showing me lately, everything's going to get tipped upside down, because many that are entering in this fifth dimensional platform of their higher versional self, if you will not be given templates of where they're going. They will not be given templates of what it will look like. They won't be given templates of what to expect, other than surrender and allow the soul of all of you to guide you. The more that we do that, we're following that divine, sovereign, soulful, directive of who we are, just in the exploration and joy of who we are, because that's all we need. And so the sacred ancestors that were all here, those timelines that were healing, those repairs and and modifications that we're all moving through from density to light is to return sacredness back to all dynamics of our collective, and why we've seen unfold what we have seen unfold, because we're reintroducing that sacred value system of love, which is the sacred kingdom of love, tree of life, that they have given me, that we created an illustration for, and how transmuting what was and returning to your center, the sacred center of who you are, and living from this space will always align you and come forward in your highest truth of who you are as an expression of Source Creator, that you then get to birth through your excitement, your exploration, and all will come to you, because those vibrations of authenticity, those vibrations of your soul self are working within many, many templates at many, many levels. And it will thread to you those synchronicities that we cannot plan, and there cannot be that this is what will happen, if you will, because we're living in this now vibration of presence. And now vibration of presence means that we won't be given the step-by-step unfolding. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to live as this moving, fluidic energy of magic. And as we do, the reason why we're going back and forth like this is because this is how energy works. It's a constant transmutation. And as you're living in this presence, exploring and expressing and experiencing all that you are, those that are also playing with you, the creational experiences, the Elohim, all aspects of all creational evolution, are also tuning into those fluidic, joyful moments of expression. So the more that all of us move within these joyful moments of expression, then the stories and the templates and the maps change, and we're living from a higher vibrational experience. And so be okay with the not knowing, be okay with the unknown, as we've said many times, and why it has such that magical design of elegance that is the Source Creator. Source Creator within each and every one of us simply wants us to be the sacred children that we are. And there won't necessarily be a map or a plan, and it will be traversing various ranges of density and experience, because that's what our soul wanted. Our soul wanted to be that light that was simply levitating and moving through all aspects of vibration, so that we're smoothing it out and healing the timelines through which we're experiencing in this now body, but that we can feel the threads of the various lifetimes that we're healing through pure self-love, pure self-expression, and self-evolution as joy. Because all those other lifetimes were not joy. They were egoically driven. They were fear and control based. They were many, many, many imbalances on many, many realms and aspects, whether it be divine feminine or the disenfranchised, are definitions, if you will. And so just allow that sacred experience of you becoming you, and have it be that all that you seek is you becoming you. And it's really different for me, because I've always been driven from knowing that I've had so much to, connect with and experience in this lifetime. This is the lifetime that our shamanism skills and all of the wisdoms that we've learned in every lifetime are coming forward and can be activated, and we can be as full and as limitless as we so choose. But that will only come forward if we release all of the definitions and all of the constraints that we have patterned and conditioned ourselves within, because conditioned and patterned living will continue the similar cycles, because that's the purpose of it. It's for that safety of experience and not allowing yourself to be okay and stepping into the unknown. Fears are not real. They're the experiences that were brought forward from those psyche imprints of those wounds that we've held. And why part of my soul's experience is to transcend those experiences of being absolutely radically self-accepting who I am as the blessed birth of Source Creator, and simply expressing all my diversity that I'm able to. That way I'm able to be my most, which is one of my wishes, always has been, because I've always felt very limited in the environments, if you will, as if I was like caged in and boxed in, which was illusory. It was just the environmental experience with the spirit within me experience, those two duality and polarity experiences. And many, many lifetimes that were, not safe to come forward in my fullness, because I know that I carry so much within me. This is only a tip of what I am potentiating for myself, and I can see and feel the excitement in my fields to say there is so much creative expression within me, and I'm just going to move forward and just create, because that's that little girl in me that's healing those aspects of, I didn't come here to fulfill missions, to fulfill jobs, and to fulfill quotas, and to fulfill da 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 da. I'm here to fully express who I am, a source creator, and I know all else will take care of itself. My soul tribe will come in, my soulmate will come in, my path will find me. All that I need will find me, because that vibration of loving fully me is within the divine plan of Gaia and our collective moving forward in our evolutionary programs. And those threads of vibration will connect and thread. I've been shown these threads that call in, and they are be pulled up to these vibrational programs to entangle with. And that's why it's so important to trust your intuitive niggles that are pulling you here and pulling you there. Those are those vibrational threads that are calling from your soul, that you have sent out from your heart. I want to connect with my soul tribe. And that's what we're going to do today. I want to connect with my celestial families, which we're going to do today. So this is why you're being called and pulled up with these little vibrational threads that pull you into those templates of your co-creative experience, because your gifts will co-create and collaborate with their gifts. And then these new templates move like this. But because they're unknown to us, we've never experienced these potentiational templates. And again, all of these healing gifts that I know are in my field that are going to come forward as being a part of the assisting humanity in higher vibrational learning and teaching and healing, we don't have words for. And so we have to trust that our path is an elegant design held within the creator of who we are, every cell, every molecule. Within the center of every cell, we hold the universe within us, within every cell. And we have access to that the more that we tune into our omnipresence and understand and just have that as a knowing, as my name is, I am. And just explore this, express this, and co-create with this. Your path is going to go like this. It's never going to ever be a straight up, experience. That's not ascension, especially at this stage. This ascension is working the energy, and it's going to move back and forth, and it's going to heal timelines that we have no understanding or sight of right now. But living in our fullest capacity of joy, of our sacredness, of our reverence with life, we then become the infinite experience that is source in every way. And we begin to regenerate our bodies, our cells, the DNA, and we become the masters of our own DNA, and having it in alignment with the full Metatronic Christic programs of light. It's really, really exciting. And it's from the authentic, reverent, inspirational, limitless, evolutionary perspective. It's start there. We don't need any of the controls, because the controls will always do what they're meant to do: control outcome, control prediction. And that's not what evolution is at this point. It's about completely fanning out and being all that we can be. And that's how we step into higher vibrational experiences that we ever thought we could. Who knew? So, part of my experience is these multidimensional healing systems and things that I'm creating will include a myriad of different experiences, because it's my joy to co-create from a higher vibrational level. And they're going to be different ascension topics, vibrational offerings for healing, activation, and clearing, and activating the vibrational stories within the ancestor and the lineage and within the grids that we are all co-creating with and bringing back to life. Realigning the divine feminine, realigning the divine male, and realigning the divine sacred child, which becomes this new beautiful kingdom of love family tree. And that's where we all build firm foundations. We did our mother's divine feminine recording, and the anchoring that they were giving me is this beautiful motion, because mudras and experiences that we move within an aura field, they create the energy frequencies. And this is why we'll be moving into those specific aspects within our healing and co-creative experiences and offerings. And so today we wanted to just offer a beautiful sacred communion of our connection with our galactic and celestial teams. In our recent video we offered, so if you'd like to go on our playlist and Mario's playlist, Mario Gataladino, he has beautiful light workers that offer their ascension writings and things like that. He creates videos of them. Part of my experiences was expressing throughout my whole life the unseen world and the invisible world, and how it manifests alchemically as we move through various big changes of energy and frequency. And mine, because I'm a Christic vibratory speaker and healer, much of those changes and shifts come through the mouth. And many of the experiences I've had with my jaw and my mouth and the teeth have been because of the dramatic shifts in clearing that throat chakra and carrying greater light through my my portals and vortices, because they're very high vibrational Christic codes and light. And so I always know, because I'll feel these tensions and these stresses, and if I'm teaching in collective webinars and such, my jaw starts vibrating because of the energy that's coming through, and that's called the mouth of God. And the mouth of God, as you can see, I just start talking about it, and my throat chakra starts clearing. The mouth of God is held right at the very base of the skull, and there's a little circle that indent is there, and that's the mouth of God. The door of God is right in the center of the back, right between the shoulder blades. And you'll feel these energy vortices if you're using the infinity breath, on how the Shikana begins to move through you, the highest Christed light version. Those of us that have come as vibrational healers, vibrational teachers, we have these vortices within us that are ever being upgraded and enhanced, so that we're offering through the highest soul star, through the pineal, and all of our vortices in the pillar of light, so that we're offering these codes of joy and love and acceleration, of the Christic vibration that connect with the water bodies of who we are, that again offer codes and stories and evolutionary potentiation. But it's again up to each and every one of us through free will to open, soften, and entangle within it. And we say soften because that softening allows you to direct all of your consciousness to the center of who you are, ground and center and anchor, and release the controlling programs, which is what the mind really needs, because the mind is usually in control of what's going on. What do I have to do? What do I have to affirm? And that just resists and reduces the allowance of these energies and these codes. And so it's really beautiful. And so what we wanted to do today is offer this beautiful centering and activation as part of those who so desire, that are really excited to begin preparing themselves. And why we've been offering what we have in this offering today is because they were showing me this week is that all of these changes and these shifts within our multidimensional systems, our bodies, are preparing us for releasing those soul wounds. As I was talking about, my soul wound is to know that I'm perfect as I am, just to be me and explore me. It doesn't have to come with the notion of fixing others and fixing everything, and this is my mission, this is my job, I have to make everyone happy. And those are all codependency, which means you continue to attract codependency relationships where others are not standing in their light, others are not moving in their freedom of co-creation, others are not moving in their sorting themselves out, if you will. And that's what happens in many addictive experiences. And so it's all interrelated to multidimensional health and wellness that we've talked about many times, along with many other things. As we said, it's not always a one fixed type of thing, but what one thing leads to another. And being brought up in dysfunctional families, being brought up in dysfunction and imbalanced experiences only perpetuate those experiences if you're not going within and dealing with that soul wound, that psyche imprint that you're here to transcend. And that is that pure self-love and pure self-acceptance, that reverence for who you are as source, the vessel of all that you are, loving for you, caring for you, accepting for you, therefore allowing your daily self-care to be there more amplified, far more attuned, and receivership and sending out what you're really excited to is fully in alignment with your soul. And that daily self-care of reverence and sacred honor allows you that entire multidimensional harmonization with your higher self, your soul, and all that your soul's desire is to express, explore, and experience. This allows you to as well connect with the highest teams that are in that vibrational alignment of the highest light programs. And so that's where you use your discernment and your fine-tuning skills to, as your light bodies and your bodies turn on, you'll be able to sense energies that don't necessarily feel in the vibration of where you're wanting to co-create. And that's when you just recenter and ground and return to clearing your field, clearing your pillar of light, and asking all consciousness, not serving source, to leave the space with gratitude and reverence, so that you're only co-creating with the highest versions of you, highest versions of your souls and the oversouls and the Christ consciousness, the Elohim, the all of the energies. And as you do this more often, you'll feel when your space is not holding its sacred vibration due to lots of traffic going in and out, people coming and going that aren't clearing their fields. And that's how you maintain that sacred reverence for who you are as a soul and loving all that you are in all moments, because you're worthy of that sacred space. You're worthy to have those sacred relationships being called in from your core vibration, because you're now loving you. You're now honoring you. You're now fully aligning as the soul that you are, and for no other purpose than just to love and explore you being you, to truly know that today I'm going to find ways that I'm going to laugh with myself and allow myself to come forward and be playful and joyful. And that's my soul. That's healing all of those soul wounds that felt I had to fix everybody, that all these dysfunctional relationships that I was attracting unknowingly, because there was that soul wound within me that thought I have to keep giving and giving and giving until there was nothing left to give. That leaves a complete imbalance, too much giving. And I remember years and years ago, I was just thinking about this last night. One of my very first volunteering experiences, as I was getting into energy and reawakening myself into my shamanic gifts and skills, was at a lovely yoga center, and we were co-creating this beautiful experience of having these multidimensional mindful awakening experiences with different instructors, meditation and yoga and healing and stuff, and we were co-creating together. So I was a part of it with some beautiful ladies, and it was really on the leading edge at that time, because that was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And one of the owners that we were collaborating with, she said, Joanna, I've noticed that you just have trouble receiving. You might want to explore that. And I was just like blown away, knowing that, of course, it was linked with everything in my childhood, and all those experiences that I felt, and why one of the main soul reasons why I've been here. And it's been something that just came to me yesterday. And I thought, wow, I'm healing these wounds of giving too much and thinking that was in my disposition, that, it's just a personality trait. No, that's a soul wound that comes with many lifetimes, that really co-creates and continues to co-create imbalances in relationships because of lack of worthiness. Your lack of self and your self-acceptance for who you are as a beautiful, sacred child, because so many people on the planet have been born into those experiences where they weren't knowing of themselves as sacred. They weren't taught that they were sacred. They weren't returning to center in their sacredness. And as we talked about before, the new parent, the new guide is about empowering, inspiring, and encouraging the sacredness of oneness within first, knowing that all answers, all love, all direction comes from within first. And that is true self-empowerment. That's true self-confidence. That's true self-awareness. So as you go healing these soul wounds that think that, well, nobody's ever told me I was sacred, I just keep giving, thinking that that's how I receive my acceptance in society, my acceptance within loving relationships. You then end up co-creating with people who couldn't do it for themselves, and you're giving way so much, leaving you completely depleted, completely out of balance, and not respected and not nurtured in any way. So then you go through those experiences of self-healing, facing that shadow aspect of, well, this is what we were taught when we were little, and these are the experiences and the co-creations that you have in those self-care times. What is my shadow? What does that inner child want to say to me now? Well, in our lifetime, these are all the experiences with people that, in that experience of love, have always been takers. So it's ingrained that you have to do more than you thought you had to, just being you. You thought you had to be more than that or do more than that just to be accepted and loved, because all of your loving experiences, what are conditional loving experiences, and that's what it comes down to. Our conversation today is all about shifting from conditional love to unconditional love of who you are. Living as this unconditional soul for you. That's it. All else will flow into space of you, exploring you, expressing you, and releasing all these really deep wounds of conditional love. Thought that you had to fix it all and be it all and do it all, and leaving you completely exhausted, because what we're given this time for this summer is to regenerate and heal, to nurture and nourish ourselves at a soul level. That's why this summer is going to be so profound for clearings and healings, and just calling in love to be nourished upon Gaia, to really fill ourselves up as light workers, that we're able to help others, because there will be mass awakenings beyond what we understand. And we will need that balance and that nourishment to be 100% available and not be so depleted because of dysfunctional relationships. And why we've been focusing so much on sovereignty. Because if you are beginning to entrain yourself into pure divine sovereignty, you're going to emulate that vibration to all others. And you're releasing you're releasing the dysfunction by setting standards, by setting conditions, or not conditions, but barriers on those that pull and tug your energy, because their experience is not they're healing their soul wounds, and they're not yet aware of that yet, and that's okay. But as we empower, encourage, and inspire, they can then work on their experiences for self-love, self-acceptance, soul exploration that you're setting the vibration for, and therefore all parties become sovereign over malleable, working the energy, you know. And so these are all family transitions that everybody will be moving through, because as each person rises into that higher self-acceptance, that higher sacred love, that what was okay here is not okay here. It's a complete, complete difference. And that's the dissonance that we've often talked about, the friction. The friction is saying, okay, this isn't working for me anymore. This is where I really want to experience who I am. It requires self-love and rebalancing. This is who I am now. These are now my standards. This is what I'm willing to offer and give, because my soul and my soul's journey is really of the highest importance. And filling yourself up first, so that you're able to give to others and emulate that to others in a high functioning way, and not in a dysfunctional way. And so, but these are all subtle experiences that everybody will move through to live as this surrendered soul, this sacred soul, for the experience of being you, for the expression of being you, and the exploration of being you, which is in and of itself divine and sacred. And so we're going to call in the Heavenly Masters, and for each and every one of us listening now and future now moments. And we're going to call in our celestial teams and our galactic teams, our inner and our outer earth shaman teams, and our guides and our angels, and all of the Gaia and the Elohim and the masters of light, councils of light, the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of light, and the gods and goddesses of light programs, the Holy Mother Father that exists within us, Source Creator Spirit. And just beginning your breath work, your full body breath. And if you do full body breath, you'll see your upper torso begins to lift, shoulders back. You begin to open up this case. Your encasing here is your sacred center, your beautiful source center where you are as a soul. Lifting yourself up so that the pillar of light opens through breath. And we're going to call in the celestial and the ancestors and our sacred tribes that each and every one of us are here working with, because each of us are working with different councils, different tribes to activate different gifts and different wisdoms and skills as we joyfully remember who we are as pure love, pure divine love, loving who we are, being who we are fully in reverence and in honor and sacredness, and then allow all else to unfold. So this activation and this breath work will be a sacred communion that you can do over and over and over again to realign you in your soul's desire to move as a sacred experience, so that it's open, it's infinite, and you're constantly in that alignment of your soul's highest truth to explore and experience and express all that you are. And so this activation can work as, again, because it's light and it's multidimensional. Every time you listen to it, will offer you something new. So just know that, have that as you're knowing this, that you'll have the right teams, you'll have the right healing teams, and you'll experience yourself creating those clearings and cleansings so that you receive the codes and you'll get what you need when you need it. And it will be directly related to your whole consciousness, which means that you may receive the upgrades and the downloads in your dream time, astral travel, in your waking state, if you're just walking along a path and you just, in this joyful open gaze with life and with creation, and you just have a download. And so this is how these new experiences will be, and why we wrote that article, to remind everybody that we'll be receiving and sending information in new and different ways. And these will also allow you, this activation, this sacred communion. Our intention of this is to clear and cleanse the multidimensional field, to center within who we are, and that softening, opening the all that we are as souls, to realign with our celestial allness, our shaman and our ancestors, because they're offering all that we are in these sacred communions. They're setting up these beautiful little synchronicities and beautiful packets and gifts for us to find along our sacred journey. And to also remind ourselves of how sacred and beautiful we are just being breathed. There is no need to be goaling and having those experiences of ego, you know, continually, like the gerbil spinning on the wheel, and just allow this beautiful experience of who you are to come forward. So it's our open and activation with our celestial teams to prepare us for first contact, to continue to receive codes and healings and clearings so that we do allow ourselves to prepare for not only face-to-face open contact, but in our dream time, in our visions, and as well as opening and awakening our multidimensional galactic communication, what we receive and what we send. Ancestors and shamans of inner and outer earth, for however we're here to creatively co-create and express and explore that sacred love of who we are as the all, and self-love and self-acceptance. And that's all included in these deep soul wounds that each and every one of us are here to transcend and live within that sovereignty. So those are the three basic intentions, so that we're preparing ourselves for all of our beautiful allness of experience. And so just allowing yourself to sit straight and allow that pillar of light to be open through your intention, through your breath, calling in the light, and allowing yourself to feel at the base of your spine, grounding into the sands and soils of Gaia, to the very center of Gaia, because we are connected with her. We are connected with her blueprint, the collective blueprint, and the blueprint of the heavenly programs. So those are those sacred triad that we often talk about, and your soul is included within all of it. And as you open up with your full body breath, your inhale is your intention of self-love, your intention of love and unconditional expression and exploration, experience of yourself. Just have your full body breaths, visualizing this beautiful infinity that's going from the central sun, crisscrossing at your heart, and then going down into the center of Gaia. And breathing up your full body breath, feeling the elements of the energies of Gaia come up through your chakras of your feet, coming up through the pillar of light, and feeding through all that you are, up to the central sun, creating a brand new breath of who you are as your oneness with Source, Mother, Father, the balance of male and female, and the sacred child that you are. And feeling this infinity flow that's moving in and around through the very center that is that, the center of the flower, if you will, and it goes off in all directions. And as you get better with the infinity breath, you can see this breath moving out into the all. Always rising up to the heavenly councils and the highest frequencies of light codes to call in. And as you continue your breath, just visualize yourself as this beautiful sacred sphere of light, this sacred geometry, the macabre that you are held within. And a view as you're inhaling in self-love, inhaling in your radical self-acceptance, and releasing all old programs and self-beliefs at every level. And as you continue breathing, I'm going to move through an invocation that will help release some of these DNA, celestial, and lineage experiences that are held within those psyche imprints, within the fields that we keep reliving over and over again. And so this will be a sacred invocation for those that so desire to stay with us in this, to clear and cleanse, to activate our oneness with our celestial families, and opening up those portals of communication, of receiving and sending in new ways, and experiencing our Gaia in new ways, experiencing all that we are in new ways, and to center ourselves within the beauty of who we are as the sacred, reverent being, and our sacredness of who we are, and to begin living as this undeniable, limitless being of holy light, healing all of those wounds that have kept us so limited and co-creating in dysfunction. And so just continue with your full body breath as we move through, and we're going to connect with the various teams and councils, and we're asking Lord Michael once again to continue clearing and cleansing our spaces, and the angels of sound and tone, the angels of holy light, and calling in the sacred beings of holy light through the Christ collective and through the Christ consciousness. The gods and goddesses, thank you, dear ones, the Rainbow Masters of Light, Saint Germain and Lady Amethyst and Lady Portia, to assist in the violet flame clearing and cleansing of all beings that are connecting with this experience, and just soften within your heart and open. I call in self-love, and as I exhale, I'm opening the portal of all that I am, my divine sacred heart. Divine sacred heart is this beautiful vortice of light and love held within our center. I call in unconditional love to bathe and cleanse this sacred space as the violet flame is bathing and cleansing from our feet chakras up, clearing and cleansing the physical bodies and fields, clearing and cleansing the mental bodies and fields, clearing and cleansing the emotional bodies and fields, clearing and cleansing the etheric and auric bodies and fields, and repairing any tears or rips that we may have experienced through our astral travels or walking through very challenging experiences within the collective, and clearing and cleansing any energies that we've taken on from others that are ready to be cleared and released, please, now through the souls and the higher selves and the highest guidance, through benevolence and light and healing and repairing and realigning to the highest light. And visualize your pillar of light that's just processing a beautiful, infinite, transparent, crystalline energy of the highest light vibration that is love, that is source creator, the highest frequency of love and light that you are as source. Just by you being breathed forward into all of creation at your very first incarnation, how sacred you are as this beautiful sacred seed. And just visualize this beautiful, beautiful sacred seed of love that is you at the very core of who you are. The experience of your innateness, the experience of all of your Akash lineage, the experience of you as an angel, you as a shaman, as an oracle, as a sacred seer, as a sacred creator and teacher. And know this of yourself, know this, that you're so sacred and you're blessed in every way. And just your experience to walk about earth, to be who you are in your sacredness, brings so much joy to source creator, brings so much joy to who you are as source. Releasing any programs of less than or not enough, releasing any and all imprints and aspects that are within the DNA, that within the mental body. We carry imprints within the mental body that we're here to transcend, releasing all limitations. Any energies where you feel jealous or having to compare to others, we release these programs now. We transcend and ask that the violet flame and the highest Christed light bathe and cleanse these programs of not enough. Bathe and cleanse these programs of less than. Bathe and cleanse these programs of dysfunction. And those that so desire to step forward in new ways, allow yourselves to open up to the highest codes and the highest light as we're being bathed with the highest Christic lights of clearing and cleansing all of our multidimensional bodies and fields. We open up to the highest light as our hands are accepting new codes, our hands are accepting new radiations through the multidimensional systems of all that we are. I call in and I accept the highest codes of holy light in reverence of who I am as a soul, as my oneness with the source creator, and I emanate my truth to creation. I allow my heart to open and my soul to open. I call forward my higher self and my soul in appreciation and in gratitude of who I am as a soul. I call forward the light of my soul, remembering that my light, my soul's light, my soul's vibration, my soul's energy, my soul's wisdom is all that I need. It is in oneness with source creator. It is my omnipresence. My soul is my nourishment. My soul is my alignment and my activation. And I ground these loving, reverent energies of who I am as my name is. I am a divine light being soul, and I am one with source creator. And I anchor these into the sands and soils of Gaia, feeling that grounding cord ground you into the sands and soils of Gaia with an intention of living as your pure, loving soul self. Knowing that your soul's light is your shield of protection. Your soul's light is your nourishment of protection. And you can feel these little vibrations of infinities of joy and love of who you are. Feel into the excitement of who you are and just threading that infinity into your field. I allow the joy of who I am to come forward and bless the space that I walk on, to prepare my path that I walk on. I activate and initiate self-love and self-appreciation. I allow all that I am as a soul to come forward in undeniable self-love and self-acceptance. I allow all that I am to come forward as the sacred light, as the sacred being that I am, just to explore and express myself. And I'm placing beautiful golden light in a myriad of colors and rainbow crystalline energies, that my intention to live fully is me to love who I am, so that every time I step forward, I'm stepping into new aspects of love that I've prepared for myself. That creation and the beautiful omnipresent teams are living with me. And I co-create sacred love, and I activate the codes, and I activate the councils and the groups that will be working with me, so that I may receive information and send information that is in divine alignment of my soul's highest path. That I see, I hear, I know, and I sense myself as truth. That I see, I hear, I know, and I sense myself as the blessing that I am. And that I allow moments of self-care and alignment every day to the truth of who I am as pure love. So that I allow the value of all that I am to be seen, to be known, and to be felt and experienced in every way. I realign with self-love. I realign with self-reverence. I realign with the love of who I am. And this is the joy of my expression, experience, and exploration of me. And that's all that I need. For I know that I will be gifted and I will be blessed in every way. That I will feel the radiations and the emanations of Gaia as she awakens and as we awaken together. And I know that the gifts and all that I'm able and willing to experience and explore and experience will be gifted and blessed to me. It's not something I have to go rushing out to find. It's something that will come to me because my vibration is everything. My vibration is who I am, and I choose to live every day as a sacred vibration of love and joy and excitement to be me. And in this, I attract the soul tribe. I attract the galactic communities that are preparing me for first contact, that are preparing me for more. And I activate the sacred codes so that I may understand this higher dimensional communication in the ways that I need it. And that I'm allowing myself reflection and quiet time to commune with the sacred ancestors. As we're calling in the sacred stories of Gaia, we're calling in the sacred ancestors and lineage so that we become the most expansive, loving experience of who we are. And live sacredly within this to bring sacredness back within my daily life. And I call forward through all that I am as a soul. I'm excited to live fully as me. I'm excited to explore me and be me in my fullest. And I begin feeling the sacred eminence of who I am in my fields and in my thoughts, and my mental body is being refined to a higher vibrational thought. My mental body is fully in alignment with the divine mind. And I surrender to the divine will so that my fields are upgraded and cleansed and clarified. The mental body is cleared and cleansed and clarified so that all wounds are blessed and healed and made whole. And the highest counsels of light can bless and heal and make whole all that is able to be repaired. And every breath allows me to call in greater light, to be greater light, cell by cell, thought by thought, and word by word, so that I live as this fluidic movement of light and love. So that I allow myself to feel whole and sacred in who I am, fully connected with my galactic communities, fully connected with the Elohim, fully connected with my Christ consciousness within the water body of who I am. And I allow these sacred clearings and blessings to come forward. And as they do, I will soften and I will reflect upon the lessons and the blessings that it's showing me and teaching me to greater self-love and self-acceptance as this vast soul of infinite light that I am. And I anchor in these new vibrations of consciousness activation to my celestial teams in preparation to come through in my dreams and my astral time and meditations, in my everyday walking in amusement and in love of who I am, to activate greater self-love so that I choose foods and I choose tribe that are of my highest experience, and those will automatically be given to me through synchronicities and through downloads and through moving to love myself and nourish my soul in new ways, to read and explore higher vibrational experiences and to create that sacred space in new ways. And through the sacred light language, may these activations, healings, and clearings be done in the highest vibrational ways for those listening now and future now moments, for the sacred light language is a moving language of infinite love and changes and activates new in every time that it's listened to. I call my soul forward, I call my higher self forward in full alignment of who I am as the Holy Christ, the holiest being of all that I am, and I anchor this through my pillar of light as I activate these new moments of sacredness and self-love and self-knowing, that I live fully as a sovereign being of light. This is my true empowerment, for my light is all that I need. Te shishiatatake, siana nakatake, hatatake shishiana, te sishiatatakatake, night shishiamanataka, hua patate shitake sia na tia te sishiatake hesiamat ke sitikea. Shoma na te siasekatake Hu ayan katake. Tai siat ma te ke siat kitke. Hu te siat ma te ai tike sia. Ha te kitke siat katka siat kitke. Ma nya siat ka siat ka. He shishiyama katka.
Whai, mbai te sia se anana katake sia teke ya. Ha ma sia teke ya. Wai anana ka. And around. Thank you so much. I'll give you the visuals. White buffalo calf woman um, was with us. Thank you. And native angelics, as well as the fairies and the pixies, they first showed me that we are each making a wish upon who we are, you know, those dandelion wishes. And they were showing me this beautiful dandelion that as I was blowing it, we are wishing into creation all of those soul aspects of our new dreams, our new wishes, and our new excitements to be who we are. And then they showed me this beautiful wildflower field that these little pixies and these fairies were jumping from flower to flower to flower in the expression of the joy and excitement of who we are as those aspects of consciousness and vibrations. And then creating these beautiful sacred gardens of excitement and exploration that are moving. The frequency of experience that I was getting as the pixies were jumping is that the earth is moving with us in these waves of love and these waves of beautiful co-creations. And this is purely from the living as this beautiful sacred essence of who we are and just knowing you walk with Source Creator. That all else is unreal, if you will, and what we're here to transcend and transmute and transpose into something new, a higher vibrational of love, which is who we are. All higher vibrational consciousness dimensions live from the excitement to press out our consciousness, to explore, express, and experience more consciousness, more of who we are, because it's us. So we hope you've enjoyed this beautiful sacred communion, and we thank you so much. Having reverence for who you are as a soul upon this planet with one as a source, our hearts are sown as one. We bless you in all that we are as Source Creator, in the love and the light of earth coming up to meet us as one, as heavens living through us as one. We become the bridges of ascension, and we become the all that we are through the sacred dance of self-love and self-acceptance and the pure reverence of being light and love. Thank you, dear lighted ones. Namaste.